Colorado Democratic Senator John Hickenlooper is one of those lawmakers proposing a vote today. He joins us now from Capitol Hill. Senator, thanks for taking a minute out of the chamber for us. Voting on this First Amendment to kill the fund remains open right now. How are things looking from where you stand?
Well, I think there's so many amendments. And I mean, the bottom line is this fund is insanity, right? And the fact that you could have a fund like this that's essentially a slush fund, weaponization is kind of a joke to everybody. It's hatched by President Trump and his family. It was all going to go to benefit them. They sued the IRS for $10 billion because their information that was released along with the information of 60,000 other taxpayers. Evidently, the Trumps aren't always taxpayers because there's an argument here that's going to protect them from that. But somehow they deserve something for that. And somehow people like the insurrections at the January 6th at the Capitol, the people like Tina Peters out in Colorado, who was arrested, put in jail for, breaking the law around our election security. And now she's somehow gone from a convicted felon. She had committed 4 felonies, and now somehow she's a victim. I mean, it's enough to. I mean, Tina Peters is not a victim; she's a criminal.
So, acting AG Todd Blanche did say that this anti-weaponization fund, or so-called slush fund, as some of you and your colleagues have referred to it, is dead. Why is it so important then to get on the record with it?
Well, because I think this administration has a record as long as my arm of saying one thing and then doing another. And I don't think there are very many people in Colorado or around this country that really believe that suddenly in a few weeks this doesn't appear again. So better now, while we have the chance, while they need the votes, to put this thing once and for all into the trash.
You wrote a recent op-ed arguing that we should not give money to those who tried to overturn the 2020 election. You just made that argument again here with us. Beyond just this fund, are you concerned that there's a larger effort to rewrite what happened on January 6th?
Of course. This is all part of a concentrated effort by President Trump and his closest supporters to rewrite history. He wants to make sure that he is remembered as someone who was unfairly denied that election victory in 2020, that somehow there was cheating and stealing. I mean, every single survey, every review showed there was no election fraud in 2020. It's all this baseless conspiracy theory. It's nonsense. And we have it in Colorado. We were the pioneers of vote by mail. He claims that our vote by mail was somehow, and this is what Tina Peters got wrapped up in, that somehow it was breached in some way, which is a joke. Vote by mail was created basically by Republican clerks in rural parts of the state as a way to lower costs, increase turnout, and basically make sure there's absolute security. And the people that get most benefited by it are seniors and rural people that would have had to drive a long way to vote, mostly Republican voters. So this was originally, vote by mail was to make it high turnout for everybody, but also for key components of the Republican voting bloc. So the notion that this is something that has been corrupted or is even possible to corrupt. We have these things called statistically accurate audits that go on during the election to make it all but impossible for fraud to occur without us finding out. So, again, this is one giant corruption of what a historical fact is. President Trump lost the election in 2020. He refuses to admit it. So, therefore, he's got to invent all these reasons and victims. I mean, Tina Peters she's a criminal. She was found guilty by a jury of her peers, and she's done some time. She should certainly not be a victim and get a payout from taxpayer money. And I think I speak for many, many Democratic senators and a pretty large number of Republican senators. Not one nickel of tax dollars should go to paying out to these people that just attacked and destroyed parts of our Capitol, and people like Tina Peters who tried to promote these conspiracy theories and broke the law.
Senator, we only have about a minute remaining, but I do want to ask you about some of your Republican colleagues who seem to be slowly, steadily trying to defy Trump in their own ways in the Senate. Money for Trump's ballroom has been stripped out of the budget bill by Republicans. This fight over the weaponization fund, and now major concerns over Bill Pulte's appointment as DNI, as acting DNI, I should say. What are you hearing behind closed doors from Republican colleagues? Are they frustrated enough to push back against the president's agenda?
Well, I hear of more and more frustration from many Republicans, not just a few. You realize the intimidation that has been waged against them, the threats of tens of millions of dollars of attack ads at a primary that would destroy their reputation, their home state, so that their own kids wouldn't want to be seen in public with them. That's not how a democracy can function. And I think the fact that the president turned on loyal Republicans and basically engineered their primary defeat has been a lesson and a warning for a lot of the other Republican senators. And I think there is more and more of a willingness to stand up to the president about things they care about. They're not going to, I don't think we're going to see any Democratic conversions. But we are seeing a bunch of people that are sick and tired of being pushed around to do things that they really don't believe in.
Maybe we'll just see a little more bipartisanship, one can hope. Senator John Hickenlooper, thank you so much for taking time.
Thank you, Ariel.